We've also got some other breaking news, and we're going to get back to you in just a moment. But I want to get over to David Faber down at the New York Stock Exchange. He's got some other breaking news to bring us just now.
Yeah, Andrew, it involves Liberty Media, of course, a company run by Greg Maffei for many years, of course, Chairman John Malone. Tomorrow, the investor day for Liberty, and they've got a lot of news that they're announcing right now ahead of that. Investor Day tomorrow. First bit is involving Charter, the large cable company, of course, of which they own about 45.6 million shares, have owned a stake in that for a long time. They've been in talks to try to basically collapse that structure, to come up with a deal under which Charter would buy Liberty Broadband, where it's housed, and they've done that. Essentially, it's an enormous stock buyback by issuing stock, in a sense, from Charter to Liberty Broadband. It's not going to close for a long time, but shareholders have been waiting for them to get to a specific ratio, a specific deal. They've done that. 0.236 of a share of Charter will get you one share of Liberty Broadband. Now, you may look right now and do the math and say, wait a second, there had always been a spread. That's what they're trying to deal with here. And in fact, this deal actually is worth less than what Liberty Broadband's worth right now. Well, that's because GCI, that's the broadband business, the converged cable broadband business in Alaska, that's not included. So that is going to be separated, and that has value, obviously. And so that is why Liberty Broadband stock price is going to actually be a bit above where the ratio implied on Charter would be. But this has been in the works for some time. Again, it may take place sooner than that date in 2027. But shareholders have been waiting for that for some time. Another announcement involves Liberty Live and Live Nation, which seem to be moving down that same path. That's not that they've announced that. In other words, where Live Nation would be buying in the holdings that Liberty has of its stock, some 69.6 million shares. But they are now making that possible because they've done what we call created an asset-backed structure. It's no longer going to be a tracking stock, Liberty Live. It will now be a separate public entity. And again, this is all part of a simplification process that Chairman John Malone is going through with the company as well, and has been for some time. Started with Sirius and the Atlanta Braves, now Charter, and now it seems to be moving, or is moving, towards Liberty Live. And what you're going to end up with here is Liberty Media, which is just basically going to be Formula One, and this new entity that is going to be the shares of Live Nation, auguring for, would seem, the possibility down the road of doing a similar transaction to the one I just described between Charter and Liberty Broadband. Finally, perhaps the biggest news is that Greg Maffei is going to be stepping down as the longtime CEO of Liberty Media. He, of so many deals through the years, and this simplification basically has kind of happened towards what is now going to be the conclusion of his 19 years running Liberty Media. Mr. Maffei will be stepping down at the end of the year. He will be holding on to all his various board memberships, chairmanship, I think chairman of Sirius and Trip and the likes of that. But he is going to be thinking about and doing some other new things, is my understanding. What those are exactly at this point is unclear. 83-year-old John Malone is going to step in as the interim CEO of Liberty Media. And he says he's acutely focused on rationalizing the structural discounts at Liberty Media and growing their attractive cash-generative businesses. Of course, the focus there will be on F1, because that's basically what he's got left to deal with. I'll be speaking to Maffei tomorrow at Liberty's Investor Day. I will also have my annual interview with John Malone as well. We taped that very recently, but that will also be part of it. And Chris Winfrey, the CEO of Charter. So, Andrew, an opportunity to talk about all of this important news tomorrow with those gentlemen.
David, with Greg stepping away and this idea of John being the interim CEO, what kind of bake-off do you imagine is going to happen now to effectively be what might be described as the head of F1, right?
Yeah, I don't know. And frankly, it's not completely clear to me what the plan will be in terms of F1 and the opportunities there. Malone is serious when he talks about simplifying. That said, I think he's perhaps complicating his life a little bit in the interim by becoming CEO again. Right. But that's where the focus is. Andrew. You know, Sirius is now its own company, Atlanta Braves. They, you know, all of these entities that had so much complexity associated with them because they were part of the Liberty family and so many different transactions done in part for tax efficiency have been resolved. I just named one other with Charter that is going to be, and then the next one with Live. So the expectation there, I guess, will start to be, well, is there a possibility of another transaction involving F1, or what will the plan be? Certainly going to talk to Maffei about that as well tomorrow.
And the expectation, as you said, Maffei will still be a director. I'm looking. Charter, Live Nation, Sirius, TripAdvisor.
Correct.
Zillow,
Correct.
I think, still?
Yes, he's still director of Zillow. Yeah, they're not involved with that, but that's right. Yep. Yeah. So he will keep all those those positions. And my understanding as well is that he's not done. He's far from retired, even though he's a little bit older than me. He's still going to keep at it.
We will look forward to your interview with him tomorrow, where I know you'll get a lot of answers about all of this. Thanks, David, for bringing us the news.